Good evening, dear students. I am making this video after many months. Actually, I was engaged with some bit of the work. That's why not available on YouTube. I start with the class 12 political science chapter 1. The chapter name is End of Bipolarity. End of Bipolarity chapter directly talk about the concept of Soviet Union disintegration, and it is also giving us idea how did Soviet disintegration affect the geopolitics of the world. So if you go through the chapter beginning, you will find in 1989 Berlin Wall was dismantled, and the Berlin Wall dismantle became a landmark decision for the entire world, and it is the beginning of disintegration of USSR. Actually, after the Second World War, Germany was divided in two parts, and one part was controlled by the USSR and another part was controlled by the USA. And the entire world has become a two pole, and one pole is represented by capitalist ideology that is under the leadership of USA, and other was the socialist ideology, and that is leadership of Soviet Russia. You know, the concept has begun with Russia from the 1917 October revolutions, and entire Russia became a landmark decision maker in the Soviet concept, and nature of Soviet was so much aristocratic, and Soviet economy was very much closed. There was less scope for the possibility of changes. Another hand, there is key factors in the term of the Gorbachev reform, which became also sole responsible factors for the disintegration of Soviet Union. Actually, after the Nikita Khrushchev, Mikhail Gorbachev became the president of the Soviet, secretary of the General Communist Party of India, and later on he was not getting as much support. The previous leader was getting support from there, and the Gorbachev's reform, which was basically the reframe the ideology, technology, and the new innovations in the Russia. But these all things were rejected, and whatever he did, the promise with the common citizen, it was not generally materialized itself. So we also see there were so many factors behind the disintegrations of Soviet Union. You can say the lack of political crisis internally, so economy was so weak. Russia, the nature was very much autocratic, that there was not a big scope of the democratic function. So these were the general factors behind the disintegration of Soviet Union. And finally, under the leadership of Boris Yeltsin, the Soviet Unions declined, and we see the many newly independent countries were also becoming free, and so Russia grip over the Eastern Europe was not as earlier they had. Now the consequences of the disintegration of empire you can talk about in the three ways. The first, the end of the Cold War; second, the geopolitical power relation of the world change; and third, the Soviet bloc ending means emergence of new country. Many new country was also coming. Another topic is the shock therapy, that is the post-communist regimes, where we see the shock therapy is generally the transformation of Russian economy from transformation means from socialist to capitalist. So we see it is a shocking news for entire Soviet Union, and the consequences of the shock therapy is the value of rubles is come to down, and the old systems, social welfare structure also very much damaged, and the large state control industrial complex was not in the good shape whatever, and the Russia became a center of garbage, because the old industrial productions is not as much instrumental. So tension and conflict is also another topic of the chapters, and the tension and conflict is the generally it is talking about the civil war situations in some of the country those were associated with Soviet Union, and then there are the general challenges were coming from the Chechnya border, and then and even the Kazakhstan's and Afghanistan border, even South Korea, they were getting the problem. So the multiple problem were available that time. So the tension and conflict became a major issues and challenges for the newly dismantled USS Russia, and the in the post-communist country, the India and Russia have the very good relation in the defense, geopolitics, trading network, and the cultural exchange. You know, the Raj Kapoor movie Mera Naam Joker, it is very much based on the Russia and India relationship. This is a very short chapters. I would suggest to all of the students can read the chapter and absolutely go through the cartoons from the chapter, and captions and the small box are there, so you not ignore them. Those will be also helpful to get the good marks in your 12th exam. Thank you everyone.